Some streets here turn into rivers. That's a real line from someone who lives in Merida. And if you're planning a move, the rainy season is one of the first things that scares people off. So let's be straight about it. Not to scare you, not to sugarcoat it. How bad it actually gets, why it happens, which areas got hit worst, and exactly what to check before you sign a lease. Let's start with the honest picture. On May 29, 2026, Merida got a genuinely historic downpour. Official rainfall between 90 and 131 millimeters, and some stations recorded around 180. The result? Authorities and press reported 59 neighborhoods flooded, more than 200 streets underwater, classes suspended, and flood alerts for days. In one neighborhood, Francisco Fern Madero, residents reported water actually coming into their homes. Now the framing, because this is where people panic unnecessarily. This is seasonal. The rains run roughly from June into October. And what you just heard was an extreme event, not what an average afternoon looks like. Most rainy season days are a heavy downpour that drains and moves on. But the extreme days are real, and they're the ones you plan around. So why does a city on famously absorbent ground flood at all? This is the part most videos get wrong. Yucatan sits on karst, limestone that normally drinks water beautifully. The problem isn't the ground, it's what we put on top of it. Massive paving and fast urban growth have sealed the soil under concrete, so rainwater can't soak in where it falls. It all rushes to a handful of drainage wells, and in a big storm, those wells get overwhelmed and back up. Researchers at the UNAM have been clear that the main driver here is not climate change. It's urbanization, the loss of natural ground that used to absorb the rain. Experts and even the city's own planning institute say Merida urgently needs a modern drainage system to keep up. Why does this matter to you? Because the flooding isn't Merida is bad. It's hyper-local. It comes down to your specific block, its elevation, and whether the drainage near it can cope. So which areas struggle? In the 2026 storms, local press and residents flagged spots like the Centro, Ciudad Caucel, Nora Quintana, Avenida 22 in Juan Pablo II, San Marcos Sustentable, Francisco de Montejo, Paseo de las Fuentes, Garcia Gineres, and Luis Echeverria, plus the area by the Panteon Florido, which reportedly floods heavily every big storm. Now, the caveat, and please actually hear this one. That list comes from citizen and driver reports collected by local media during those storms. It is not an official flood risk map. And being on that list does not mean the whole colonia floods. Flooding here is block by block. On the very same street, one house can stay bone dry while the one across from it takes on water. So don't cross a whole neighborhood off your list. And don't assume a neighborhood that isn't named is automatically safe. The name of the colonia tells you very little. The block tells you everything. So here's how you protect yourself, and it's simpler than you think. Look at the street itself. Is your block a low point? Does the road dip toward it so water would collect there? Stand at the curb. How high is the sidewalk above the road? Look at the house. Is it ground floor, or is the living space raised? Are there water stains or a tide line on the outside walls, the garage, or the fence? The sign that water has been here before? Look for drainage. Is there a storm drain nearby, and does it look maintained or clogged? And then do the one thing almost nobody does. Ask. Ask the neighbors on that exact block what happens after a hard rain. They'll tell you honestly. Because here's the trap. You'll almost always view a place on a dry, sunny day, and a dry, sunny day tells you nothing about how that block looks an hour after a downpour. So, the honest bottom line, yes, Merida floods in extreme storms. And yes, the drainage needs work. But it's very manageable if you pick the right block and you ask before you commit. This isn't a reason not to come. It's a reason to come informed. If you're planning a move, I put together a free Moving to Yucatan guide that covers the seasons, the neighborhoods, and the practical stuff in one place. Links in the description. And whether you're renting or buying, the golden rule is the same. Before you sign anything, ask someone local who actually knows that block. I'm Yucatan Unlocked. See you in the next one.